Because
So Matt,
right now they're just shooting blind when they choose a property manager. Like, I'm sure they know what
that's
cash
interesting.
flow is, right? Like, no, they don't know what cash.
So Matt, you're saying like the training can be used as sales collateral of be like, hey, you can trust us since our property managers have all been through this regimen.
Oh, I'm about to draft a proposal to partner up with Jason here, like on the call.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm talking
cool.
about. So yes, absolutely.
Welcome to Unfiltered, the official podcast of propertymanagement.com. I'm your host, Dylan Scroggins, joined by the founder of propertymanagement.com, Mr. Matt Speer. And we have a special guest today out of South Jordan, Utah, Mr. Jason Wolf, CEO of Utah Property Solutions and the founder of Property Management University. This might be one of our longer episodes we've already talked about. We're definitely going to have a part 2, a lot to cover. But Jason, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to do this.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate the time. We got a lot of mutual friends and a lot of common interests. So I'm really excited to kick us off. So first off, we talked before, you're the only person right now complaining about a lack of snow. So tell us a little bit more about life in Utah right now and how the year's getting off.
You know, living in Utah is great. We get 4 seasons. You can travel south down to St. George, have the Red Rocks and Zions National Park and the warm weather. You can travel into the Rocky Mountains and ski. I'm about 20 minutes, 25 minutes from my house. I can be on the slope skiing. So I love it. This winter the snowfall has not been great. In fact, we're breaking records. So it's cold, but we're not seeing a lot of snow. So we're praying for snow. The skiers are praying for snow.
Well, timestamp, because people can listen to this podcast at any time. There's supposedly some really bad weather about to hit the Midwest and South. So we're all frightened while you're over there complaining. So, and actually our third Utah guest, which is pretty cool. So we're becoming a niche Utah PM podcast here.
Yeah.
But before we start diving in, because I mentioned we have a lot to talk about, tell us a little bit about Utah Property Solutions, just how you got started in PM, your current door count, and just a little quick overview on your background as an owner, and then we'll start talking about Property Management University as well.
Sure. You know, I spent 20 years in the military. When I left the military, I started in real estate. I sold marketing and advertising for a local television station and started in land development and then started in real estate, started a brokerage and then had some life changes. You know, we didn't all wake up just wanting to get into property management. You know, you hear that very often. I had some life changes. I was actually dating this girl that I was really interested in that's really successful, right? And I remember one day she tells me, she says, "You keep talking about property management. When are you just going to do it?" And I remember walking away from that conversation thinking, man, she's not going to think I'm cool if I don't do this, right? So I did it. I pulled the trigger on it. I thought, you know, I already have the overhead. I'm already in real estate. I love everything residential real estate. So I just tried my hand at property management and just started growing organically. We're a mid-sized company. We managed just about 360 doors, single family. I've got a team of 8, fantastic, well-tenured team and great reputation, and it's moving along great. And then about a year ago, this whole idea was founded from a need that I had running my management company that I started Property Management University.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Jason. I think that's a really cool story just as far as getting into property management. Also, you know, making property management cool. It's like, hey, let's impress the ladies out there.
We're married now. It worked.
There you go. Yeah. Well, hey, there we go. That's awesome.
I tell her all the time, hey, this is your fault. You know, this is your fault when the cops get called or, evictions. I'm like, this is your fault.
Well, I started doing, I was like flipping houses and I think the first house I was like 23 or whatever. And I was telling my girlfriend at the time, now wife, that I have no money, but I think I'm going to buy this house and I'm going to flip it. And she was like, this is a terrible idea. This is not a good idea. And I was like, I'll do it once. And then you tell me, and we started flipping houses. And then she started to like, the outcomes from that. And now we're married. So there you go. Property management really helping us both out. But so you starting Property Management University as a need, that came from your business. I think that's I think I'm so impressed with what you're doing here and how fast you've done it. I'd love to hear what that need was and what kicked it all off.
Yeah. So, I spent, early in my property management for those first initial phases of growth. I had a mentor that told me that I should really get involved in NARPM. If there's anything that I do, get involved in NARPM. And I did it, and I went to my first broker owner, and then I started going to these conferences. And then I realized that I'm a visionary, and I'm the guy that I come out of these conferences, and I'm so jacked up and so excited about the stuff I'm learning, and I want to get it to my team. First, I felt like it's unfortunate that my team's not here. It's expensive, right? And it's unfortunate that they can't get this same education and connection that you get at some of these conferences. So I always felt, one, I had this problem of getting the information back to my team and then building the community. So I'm a member of a mastermind who has been another great move. We've been in this mastermind for about 6 years, and I just felt like my team should have opportunities to connect with like-minded professionals in the industry. And so that's where that community component comes along with Property Management University. But that was the need and then it grew into about a year and a half ago. I read a book that just really excited me, and I got my mastermind on board. We were going to go to the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center, and it's really expensive. And I thought, right before I pulled the trigger on this, I thought, here's what's going to happen. I know myself well enough. I'm going to go there to this 3-day training, stay at a Ritz-Carlton. I'm going to learn all of this great stuff. And how am I going to get that back to my team? And that was that aha moment where I thought, I need to find a way to bottle this up and get it and hit a learning objective with my team. And so that's when I started. That's when I started digging into it.
Yeah, so it sounds like that was the big aha, which was NARPM is really great. Dylan and I both big NARPM fans, and we were just at the broker owner in Colorado Springs, but it is expensive to travel. And I think it's that disconnect between, the owner, the leadership of the business being able to take the things they learn, bottle it up and pass it on to the team rather than it just be like in your head and you feel good about now that you know it. But if it's not put into action, as we know as property managers, obviously that's a big problem. So talk to us about kind of like where's where's the business today? Like what's currently offered, and, take us from that idea aha moment to, what I'm looking at right now on this website, it looks like you've been around for like 20 years and have it all figured out.
Yeah, we've moved fast. The first key was getting the right people that knew how they could take information and put it into a more modernized way of learning. People they're so into their phones and interactive and gamification, and we learn in chunks and very stimulated chunks of information. So the whole idea is to take a complex learning objective and try to put it into not a 3-hour on-demand course or a webinar that you can't break down to keep their attention, and then to assess if they're learning, and then to basically to keep their attention. So what happens is first went and found some really smart people, quite honestly. And we started taking some concepts, we started paring them down, we started building out the courses, and that was the on-demand course function. And they're really expensive to build. And I was shocked at how expensive these are. To build them correctly in the language that's called a SCORM file, to build them that way is quite expensive. And just like any company, you have to be willing to pivot. Like what it is today doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be in 6 months or a year or even tomorrow. And so you have to make sure that you know what the end goal is, and are you willing to be pliable and to navigate those changes.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at this site here, and I think there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this, and they're going to go to pmuniversity.com, and then they're going to dig around themselves. Walk me through. So I just signed up, right? And so I'm on this site here, and let's see, I'm going back to my profile. I've got inbox. I can sort of choose some courses here. So on-demand courses. You talked about how it's expensive to build, and it looks polished. So what's the business model? Like, what can I get as a property management company owner that's wanting to learn or share some things with our team? Whatever that might be. Like, how do I get started? What's that cost? Just talk us through kind of the dynamics there.
Yeah, so we went through a couple pricing models. And we first started with a subscription model for our on-demand courses. And I fell into the classic trap of these are the most expensive pieces of the business to build. I need to monetize them. And I needed to flip the mindset. So right now, and what is expected, what our business model is that those on-demand courses are free. So right now you can go in and enroll in any one. I think we have just over 40. I think we have 43 or 44. We have about 6 that are still in production right now. The idea is that we'll be dropping new on-demand courses. They're anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes in length. There's assessments. You get a certification when you're done. And so that's the on-demand course component. So you can take those at will. They're on demand. A lot of them have been authored by really smart people. Monica Gilroy is doing the fair housing, and Stephen Hoff with EPA. We have Deb Newell that we're creating some maintenance coordinating courses. Robert Locke has been instrumental in building out the property management life cycle learning path. So we have some really smart people that have fought the fight that are building those, and those are free. You take them, as many of them as you want, and there's no charge. We then layered on a master class, which is where we wanted to level up the classic webinar. And so those are, and this is where you get really into that university style education. So we're lucky enough to have partnered with Brad Randall, which if you know much about Brad Randall, he owns a property management company here in Utah. He was a professor at BYU. He's an instructor at IRM, and he is helping us build out this instructor development. But he's helping us build out these master classes, and what they look like is, and every topic's a little different, but they're multi-part. So they're usually 90 minutes. Each session is 90 minutes. So for example, we're doing one right now that's asset management versus property management, thinking like an investor. And that particular course is structured where you have 90 minutes for session 1, and they're cohort style. So no more than 12 learners are in the course, very high engaging. Then you have the very next week, you have office hours, which is really built like a university setup. He has office hours. You can pop in, you can ask questions, talk about challenges you might have, stuff that you're learning. And then you follow up on this particular course. The third or final session wraps up that course with a certification and a final assessment.
So what percentage of the courses are geared towards the owner and then the team? Because you mentioned earlier about kind of like the thesis of the business is to train up the team, but also for the owner. Give us that breakdown real quick.
Dylan, great question. I'm really glad that you asked that, because here is another problem, a pain point that I had. Everybody wants to educate me as the operator. And then it's left up to me, and I'm juggling 10 different balls every day. And so everybody wants to educate me, and then I've got to get that to my team. So our model is that we want to go directly to the team and educate them. So right now, for the owner. So let's take that off of their plate, educate them. Right now, 95% of all of our courses are geared directly towards the employee, the people doing the work. Yeah.
So that brings my next question. I have listened to 2 podcasts this week. One, and these are all, friends of the pod. One was Brad Johnson on Peter Loman's podcast, and the other one was Gray Hall on the Evernest podcast. Both Gray and Brad, incredibly top 1% high performers of property management.
Absolutely.
Both of those had zero property management experience when they entered the industry. And I'm a little biased here because from a recruitment hiring perspective, I'm always getting asked this question. But you were bragging on your team in your intro. You said 8 fabulous leaders. How many of those 8 did have property management experience? And just give us a breakdown of kind of their backgrounds before they joined your team, and maybe just a little housekeeping on what roles they have, how many are RTMs, things like that.
Yeah. I've gone and tried to hire people with experience, and I've tried to grow people into the position. And we have found that we've had more success growing people into property management. We have our director of operations. She is an absolute rock star. And I say that she didn't have any property management experience, but just had those core values that we're looking for. And she thinks differently than I do. I'm the visionary and she's the integrator. She takes it and she can take my vision and make it happen. and she's in Peru, and she's here actually visiting for a week. We bring her a couple of times a year. And one thing that makes us really unique is we got her a real estate license. And I remember I enjoy when people tell me something can't be done, because people are like, well, you can't get somebody that's in Peru licensed with a Utah state real estate license. And I said, why? And they just can't answer that question. So I went directly to the Division of Real Estate and asked why I couldn't do it. And we did it. And so she's had her real estate
Wow.
license for 2 years. Now, with that said, last year, I brought on 2 people that did have property management experience. One fit seamlessly into our model, but she was pretty entry level at the time. But then I did bring in a hitter, an A player, and she's been in the industry for 30 years. And it did cause some of those challenges because she had her way of doing things, and it took her a year to adjust to the way we do things at our company. And so she's there now, and the relationship's strong, and she's crushing it. So we have three remote, and then the rest are local. I found a lot of success I've got a couple of retired guys that have retired and wanted to get back into the workforce. They have a sense of purpose, their attention to detail. It's that generation that they can step back from a job and be proud of what they did, right? And so I've had some success there.
And so how would you define like your customer? Because I think your perspective on, hey, there's this challenge in the industry of the owner, the leadership of the business gets the education, and then they're expected to go share that with their team. We all know as property managers that it's a chaotic business, and that's one of the first things to slip through the cracks. So I really think you're solving like a key problem. But what does that look like in terms of like a customer signs up, like, random property manager in Kansas City, Missouri is like, man, we need to double down on education. I've got some new hires. I've got to get them trained up. Is it like a course, like they've got the on-demand to kind of get started? And do they buy individual courses a la carte? Or is it, hey, our whole office can come in here and sign up for this and get unlimited access to some of these options? Like, what's that look like?
So that is one problem that we are still working to solve. But here's the path: is the whole team can sign up for these courses. Now, what we can do in our platform is we can assign a seat manager per company and then enroll all of their employees underneath them. And then they have visibility on who's taking the courses, what their assessment is. It tracks how many times they answered a question wrong. The analytics behind it is really impressive. What we're going to be offering, hopefully by broker owner, is custom learning paths. So now you can come to us and we'll build out onboarding, an employee onboarding path, a risk compliance path, a talent development path. And we can build all these out, and we can actually package it up and brand it with your company. So it can be XYZ PM education. They log in, it's fully branded theirs, and it's our system that's working behind the scenes.
All right. So I'm going to ask a question that is going to be a little bit more, we're unfiltered. So I'm just going to get after it. So
Let's do it.
You mentioned broker owner, you mentioned NARPM.
Uh-huh.
We're all NARPM fans here. So
Yep.
Don't take this as a dig, but I'm hearing you,
Can't wait.
and this feels competitive. This feels very competitive. So is this something that like a property manager right now that's in NARPM, they're choosing between NARPM or property manager university and their approach, or is it both? How is this positioned? Because I think a lot of people that are listening to this are going to be wondering that. So I'll just go ahead and ask it.
Hey, I love the unfiltered. Let's do it. Look, first, we all know that NARPM represents a very, very small percentage of the overall property managers in the industry, right? We know that their membership hasn't grown much over the last 5 years, 10 years. It's been static. And I think that's Dee Dee's whole approach with the NARPM 2.0. And you look at, and I've been having conversations with them, and you look at their training, and their training is good. Their training is, we're unfiltered. It's archaic. And nobody has the time, nor do they want to sit at their computer and take a 3-hour course. Because exactly what's going to happen is everybody has 2 monitors. They have it running on the side while they're doing their job. And when the person stops talking, they know it's time for an assessment. They lean over, they take the test, and they get back to doing what they do every day. Right? So we see ourselves in a collaboration with NARPM to help be a gateway to professional designation. Okay. So one, we would like to help level up their education in more chunky, modernized education, right? With the technology and the instructional designers that we have. But we see it as a gateway. So we've been tracking of all of our learners, right? We call them learners instead of users. All of our learners, we've been tracking who is a NARPM member. So if you just enrolled, it
I saw
asked you,
that.
didn't it?
I did. Yeah.
Less than 3% of everybody in our database, less learners, are NARPM members. So we see this as an opportunity to collect learners, educate them on the basics of property management while teaching them the importance of professional designations, which then brands NARPM as that agency that awards those.
So there's a path forward if the gates open and the conversations go well that, potentially NARPM could facilitate some of their education within your platform.
Absolutely.
If they would
And
be
that is
open
the
to it. It
discussion.
sounds like they should do that. I completely agree. Like, and again, this isn't a dig on NARPM. It's just that the way that the organization is structured, that it's very difficult to move quickly and to have, especially with AI technology, making things a lot, easier but it's like if you had a course system from 10 years ago and you're building a course system today, that's going to be done completely differently with different technology, different process. At propertymanagement.com, like Dylan and I and our team, we talk about how can we elevate the industry? Like what can we do, play our part to elevate the industry? And that doesn't have to be competitive. I think that can be 1 + 1 = 3 outcomes here. And yeah, that's cool. That's really, I think that's the right approach.
Our business model survives really with or without a relationship with NARPM. And some of the conversations I've had with them recently is, well, could we offer designations through our platform? And so far, the answer is very positive that yes, we would be able to. Why wouldn't we? If they and endorse the content, then why couldn't we do that? And so the conversations are very. And then what we're doing was while I'll be in Atlanta, and again, this is date stamped, but the technology is incredible, Dylan. Like, so AI is overplayed. It's not overplayed. I shouldn't say that, but it's in every conversation, right? What we're doing is we're taking videos of ourselves with multi-camera, high quality audio and video, and we're creating avatars. So you really could, in theory, you could get Dee and you can change what, as you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You change what they say with the strike of a keyboard.
Yeah, edit the transcript.
Now, all of a sudden, Jason Wolf can be the instructor at Utah Property Solutions Partner Campus is what we call it. And I'm teaching my team where I don't have to stand in front of a camera every time. It's just putting in the content and the assessments.
I mean, that opens the door to, there's so many possibilities with that technology. I mean, depending on how you structured your business model or the licensing or however it would work. I mean, theoretically, one of your what's it called? Sorry, one of your masterclass leaders could build a course that's like proprietary to their teaching method and their system. And then theoretically, Matt Speer could come on and basically like with my avatar, tell that same course. So it's like me teaching it to my team rather than this person they don't know. There's just so many possibilities with the technology that exist. And it sounds like you guys are thinking about those things.
We are thinking about it, but it's also very important to us that we keep a community in mind. And while the technology is there, and yes, you can, these students can ask questions and the avatar will be able to answer them, right? But there is a level of that human interaction also that you get in a university style professor that can talk. So yes, you're right. As long as we don't lose that connection and community that we're building.
So riddle me this, from the one person in this conversation who has never started or owned a property management company. And Matt, kind of like we talk about a lot in these episodes of the industry being professionalized. Let's say you own an HVAC company, and when the stakes are high, let's say electrical company, like a wiring company. When the stakes are high, then there needs to be like obviously steps to curb the risk. So you would expect all your techs to be certified by a third party to kind of basically enter and also continue some form of education. So I'm not saying like any sort of state or federal regulation here, but it does feel like the stakes are arguably just as high in property management when it comes to like regulations and getting sued and lawsuit and
Definitely.
tenant stuff. I mean, I got a client right now who like had to, has made some tough decisions because one of their property managers did something really stupid and now they're in a lawsuit. So I guess that's where the owner of that HVAC company or electrical company, whatever, is never like, the expectation is never for them to train those techs. But it does feel like, once again, a little bit of an inside perspective here, that the property management owner, all the responsibility is on them to train everybody, the leasing agent, PM, whatever. So it's really cool. And I'm not just plugging Property Management University here or NARPM or anybody, but it does seem like a lot of steps need to be made to offload that training and expectation off of the owner and put it into a more formalized third-party process for the sake of everybody. And even the tenants benefit, the investors benefit, everybody benefits when there's training, and it's just not fair for the owner to have to feel that pressure.
Well, I think...
Am I off there?
No, I think you're spot.
I think you're spot on.
I think you're spot on. And here's another angle, and Jason, I'm curious your perspective on this. So at propertymanagement.com, I feel like we are establishing the bridge between the consumer, the homeowner, the investor, to the property manager, right? Because the reality is that the average homeowner investor does not know what the professional organizations are in that industry, like a NARPM. They don't know what a NARPM designation is or means, or they have no clue, right? And then we would be completely naive or just crazy to think they actually understand. So if we can create education that a property manager can communicate to their clients, not just their team, but like communicate to their potential clients, existing clients that, hey, our team is educated on these things that matter, that's going to affect your ROI.
Yes.
And your experience.
Yeah.
But Jason, is that your perspective?
Absolutely. So let's just take fair housing. Okay. So what happens is if you're ever under an investigation, they want to know that you're making an effort. They want to know that you're not winging it, right? That there's documentation. So now let's just play the tape forward. So in property management, you get a fair housing complaint. And in our system, when you can print off certificates and actually transcripts of the employee that took this training, now play it forward. The very next thing they're going to do is say, well, we want to see the training, right? What are you training them on? And now when you can print out that curriculum and you can say, this is the training that we have trained our team on. And by the way, Monica Gilroy with the Gilroy firm in Atlanta, right, that endorsed this training, that was the subject matter expert on this training. What else can you expect from us? We got it from the source. We got it from an attorney, a fair housing attorney, right? We packaged it up. We have assessments. They scored highly on the assessments, and I have proof of every time they took the refresher courses. And now, yes, you can pivot that into a sales tool, most definitely.
Well, it sounds like it's an offensive tool. It's a defensive tool. Use it to attract better clients, and then use it to retain the clients. And then if you get in a jam and you actually are sued, which it will happen. Any property manager that's been around for more than a few years with a few hundred doors has had some level of lawsuit. And you'll have kind of the timestamp, like, hey, I'll show you the receipts.
I'll show you.
Because then it gets into insurance, right? It's all right. Well, they're investigating, and then they're going to look at, was this person trained? What was the course material? Do you have insurance? Okay, you do. I mean, if I was an insurance company, like I would want to, I would give better rates to a company that's following this level of, professionalism. And everybody in the industry wants to talk about professionalize the industry, raise the standard, and we do it. And it's like, this is something that's actually just a tangible lift that I feel is just undeniable in terms of something this industry needs. So anyway, you got me on my soapbox on behalf of you, but I just really respect what you're doing.
I appreciate that. But to go just a little bit deeper in that, you start going to E&O insurances and you become accredited, and you start saying that our team has these certifications, and you can show those to E&O insurance companies. And if you can start getting discounts on E&O insurance for it, 100%.
I feel like I should have said this at the beginning, but Jason did not pay us to be on this podcast. This is not sponsored.
It is not.
Matt, I think I said this before to you guys offline, like Matt tasked me with finding the most interesting people in property management, kind of the Dos Equis guys of property management. And I saw Jason, I think it was maybe a line that Peter said in one of his newsletters. And then we have a very strong mutual friend who I've done some recruiting for and you do some other partnerships with. So I just want to let the listener know that like Jason's not paying a dime to be on here, but I'm just fascinated by what you're building because I feel like this theme of professionalizing the industry and also like, once again, from my perspective, it's like, what, like, it's almost like looking in the mirror and like property management is a fantastic industry and there's a lot of
Yes.
great operators, but it does seem like there's this like Charlie Brown kind of like, I'm just a property management owner. It's like, no, like you should be doing the same things. And I come from a software background as well. Like most PM groups are run better than software companies, have way better recurring revenue and way better cash flow. So it's almost just like there needs to be a little bit more of puffed chest in the property management world of how the industry perceives itself. And I feel like what you're doing will help that self-confidence.
Well, I think so. A couple things that just went top of mind. So one, I'm not going to send you an invoice. So I'll send you the partnership agreement. So you don't have to pay for this, but we'll work some other details out. No, but so I feel like it's not just about professionalizing the industry. Everybody talks about that. We talk about it. It's like, it's doing it. Like if you're a property management company owner, listen to this. It's like you hire your next employee. It's like when I talk about AI search, it's like you're in the clouds with this transitional thing happening in the industry. What's this going to mean for your business long term? And then there's like, are you getting leads today? It's that thing, that real time thing today. And I feel like having educational tools to like onboard an employee, that's real life. That's today. That solves a problem like here and now that isn't just about, raising the industry. It does both, but I think we need more actionable, like, how can I help run my business today in a better way that's going to move the needle now? And I think that there's an opportunity for you to continue kind of pulling those levers, which has got me excited.
Well, especially when the lion's share of property management companies that are across the country have less than 1,000 doors. I think it's like 75% or 80%, something like that. Don't quote me. It might have even come from chat. I'm not sure. But it's a lot, right? The lion's share has less than 1,000 doors. And then if you just back into the math, less than 1,000 doors means that you probably have less than 15 employees. If you have less than 15 employees, your owner is still wearing a lot of hats. You definitely don't have an education person, right? You don't have somebody dedicated solely to teaching, right? That's just not a position that a lot of people have at that size. So those are exactly the problems that we're solving for. Our three solutions are employee onboarding, risk compliance, and talent development. We want to train you with learning paths coming in. We want to remove that risk, that compliance risk, and then we want to develop the people you already have on your team.
Can I triple down on that really quick? Because a lot of the folks that I see, and just going back to like what's the reality of the market, is that there's so many property management groups that are not in Austin, LA, New York, Boston that have this huge influx of talent to recruit from. So let's say have a property management group just randomly here, like 45 minutes outside San Antonio. So not like a major metro, but still a good size. If you're wanting someone that has property management experience, you're probably going to have to pick off someone from your competitor that you already know is not that good of a company. It'd be like Indiana football going after Purdue players. It's like we're already crushing them. Why would we recruit from them, right? So I feel like just from my angle on the recruiting and hiring side, by having these tools and these avenues of training, you're opening up your talent market big time, because now you can pick off someone from, I've had people have success from home services, pest control, even the nonprofit world, because it's high character, high driven people. We can teach you property management. So this is just another layer for your own sales pitch on any demos this afternoon. It's like it opens up your talent pool incredibly by having this training in place.
Most quality people want good training, and it is a recruiting tool. Other major industries use it. Other large companies use it. People will switch companies because of the training that they're going to get. That's proven.
And I just ran the analysis on our data at propertymanager.com. 83.7% of property management companies have been verified are under 1,000 doors.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And pretty interesting distribution there. It's mostly what you'd expect to be in that 200 to 500 zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I told y'all guys I would be the Debbie Downer on my agenda. If you're watching on YouTube, didn't talk about any of it. We went off the rabbit trail fast, which is what we wanted to do. But Jason, we have a tradition here to ask a few questions just as we land the plane in kind of our lightning round. So our first question is probably the most deep, and we asked this to a friend once, and we're like, you know what, we're going to ask it to everybody.
Great.
Running a property management business is hard. It is not for the faint of heart. How has being in property management and specifically building a portfolio and also building a company that's serving the market, how has it changed you as a person?
Wow. I'm more patient. I'd say that's how I'm definitely more patient with how I interact with my team.
Yeah, well, Matt and I both have 2.5-year-old daughters, so we probably need to learn some of your lessons of patience. Matt, baby on the way, and I got a newborn, so we're struggling with sleep and patience. I'm assuming you are, Matt. Maybe you're a better husband and father than me. Well, you definitely are that.
No, echo all the above there, Dylan, for sure.
You'll get there.
All right, some less deep questions, but still really important in tradition of here on the pod. What is a favorite tool or app for your business right now? And it doesn't have to be a PM tool.
Help Scout.
Tell me more. You're the first person to say that.
Everybody equate property management companies. I think of it as everybody standing in the kitchen at a college party, all drinking out of the same bowl. And it's good. It's good. It gets the job done, right? But there's so many other things that can be passed around that can be drinking. And what I've learned through Property Management University, when I'm looking for tools that don't necessarily apply to property management, a PMC, it's interesting to see these other resources that are out there. And then you ask yourself, why couldn't we use this in property management? Like, why does it have to be the same bottle that everybody's passing around? It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, not everybody wants the Captain Morgans. Pass me the Tito's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right? So Help Scout is by far, Help Scout has been the most impactful software that we've used in both companies.
That's awesome. What about a book or podcast every PM leader should check out?
You know, it depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Mine, the most influential was The New Gold Standard, the Ritz-Carlton story. It jacked me up. I loved it. I read it twice. I believe it. I believe everything that they do. I'm fascinated at how they can make something run like that and still keep that level of service top level.
It's awesome. And then one word to describe the future of property management.
Opportunity.
I love it.
I thought
That's a great word.
I thought he was going to say educated, which would have just been like, let's go.
Yeah.
Well,
Drop the mic.
There's so much opportunity, and you can get out of it what you put into it. There's so much opportunity.
Love it. Well, speaking of opportunity, we'd love to have the opportunity to buy you a drink at Broker Owner. Are you going to be in New Orleans in April?
Absolutely. Come stop by the booth.
Matt will buy you some Captain's Morgan.
There you go.
Captain Morgan's. Sorry, is that? Yeah, I didn't.
That's
you had a different college experience than me. We're more Natty Light here in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you don't bring out the Kraken spiced rum, that was my worst college experience. So
plastic bottle.
Yeah, there you go. Well, awesome, Jason. This has been fun. Maybe we'll do a live podcast follow up at Broker Owner and our podcast studio van. But more to come for sure. This has been good.
Yeah,
well,
we'll
that'd
have
be
you
fun.
on again, Jason. Yeah, Matt's crazy. He bought a van, and it's going to be our podcast studio. So we'll be parked
Cool.
in New Orleans. And it'll be a good time.
I'd love to do it. Guys.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks again for the time. Appreciate you joining us on this Friday. And where can our listeners connect with you? We'll definitely add the link to your LinkedIn and domain in the notes, but I'm guessing they can just reach out and maybe get a demo. How does it work in regards to learning more about Property Management University?
Yeah, well, you can reach out to me directly, Jason at pmuniversity.com. You can go to pmuniversity.com, reach out there. Those emails come directly to me. I'm right on it all the time. We're pretty easy to find.
Cool. Well, we love a good domain here at propertymanagement.com.
Yeah, absolutely. It's key.
Appreciate it, guys. Well, thanks again for the time and all the best.
All right. Thank you.